penalty, he moves up to 16th, which puts him on the outside line on the 6th row of the grid.
Not normally shy of making overtakes, is he, Joan Mir? Needs to make a lot to get himself just inside the top 10. There's your pole man, Johann Zarco, trying to stay cool and relaxed. What can Joan Mir do from 16th on the grid? What can Alex Rins do on his return from injury from just outside of the top 10? Well, let's find out the pre-race thoughts of Suzuki boss Shinichi Sahara, who's with Simon.
Sahara-san, can you tell us your thoughts, what you think your guys can do today? I'm really unsure. Normally they can get through right to podium, but today I genuinely don't know. What do you think?
Yes, yeah, it was unlucky for us. We are forced to be such a back of the grid because of some traffic or yellow flag situation in a qualify. So, but our race lap was quite good, especially in this warm-up session. Yeah, both sides are quite good. But only my concern is Alex injury. He still has a sore arm, so I think he can manage well. And anyway, we aim to get a fight to podium.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much to Shinichi Sahara. Alex Rins starting from 11th.
I love that. Antonio Jimenez there, just asking Aleix Espargaro if he needs an umbrella just to shade himself. And he just went, nah, I'm fine. I'm in the zone. I'm ready. You need a long memory to see the last time Aleix Espargaro was on a front row. Assen, 2015. Now this is interesting, just quickly, because the initial tyre sheet was Taka Nakagami was the only man that came to the grid, opting for Michelin soft rear tyre, and it's the perfect time then to pop down and find out the latest tyre information. Simon Crayford could not have timed it better because he's grabbed the word with Michelin boss Piero Taramasso.
I have, the man himself. Piero, tell us what's news.
Yeah, the news is that last night everybody, the tire choice was done, so everybody was with the hard front and medium rear. That was the best compromise. And then now, because the temperature is a little bit lower, it's 10 degrees less on the track, some riders they change, like Maverick, he went for front medium, and Nakagami also, front medium and soft rear, so I think he will be the only one. Bagnaia and Martin also, I think they switch with the medium front. So, but in the main choice is the rear medium. That will for sure was the best solution. We have to see Nakagami with the soft rear if he can keep the pace until the end of the race.
The riders I spoke to said the front was handling the punishment round here really well. What about rear? When in the race do you expect a bit of a drop?
Yes, the front is good, it's quite hard, he can support all the 30 laps. The rear, yesterday with the 50 degrees on the track, the last 6-7 laps, you know, was giving up a little bit, but today with less temperature on the track, he can do all the race with a good pace, I think.
Thank you, Piero.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks very much. Interesting, isn't it, from Nakagami? You just wonder, don't you, whether or not the team's radar suggesting rain, and Nakagami's thought, you know what, I might as well gamble. Yeah. I'm not in the championship. If I can get up to speed quick, get the soft working, maybe he puts himself in a really good position if it does rain.
It is a punt though, Steve. He's the only man, as Piero Taramasso said, the information that we have was bang on. Nakagami is the only rider that's gone for the soft rear, and he is one of only 4 riders that's gone for the medium front, joined with Vinales, Bagnaia and Jorge Martin. So he's having a proper gamble here, is old Taka.
So, a 30-lap race coming up, nerves jangling, eyes on the sky. Francesco Guidotti and his man on pole, Johann Zarco. He believes any winner from the front 2 rows. The front 2 rows feature Zarco, Quartararo, Aleix Espargaro, Jack Miller, Marc Marquez and Miguel Oliveira. It really would be some tale. You might look at this weekend and say, well, it wouldn't be a surprise if Marc Marquez was to win in Sachsenring, but what a story, what a sporting achievement it would be if he was to stand on the top step today after everything that has gone on in the past 12 months.
Danilo Petrucci. Well, at least we have got some fans in the Sachsenring, I guess we could say. They're just trying to keep cool then. ahead of this 30-lap race. Will it be a full dry race? Will it team it down and we're going to get a flag to flag? Who knows? There's going to be a few sore necks emerging right now over the next 10 minutes or so, with everybody looking skyward to try and understand what's going to happen. Johann Zarco was really, really good in that flag to flag race, particularly late on when the track dried in Le Mans.
It's such a tight, twisty track here at Sachsenring. It's a short spurt down to turn 1, downhill, off camber. It gets busy there in Moto3 and Moto2. With these MotoGP bikes as well, trying to get through sector 1 on the opening lap is just a job in itself.
And the thing as well, Steve, if you do get a flag to flag, I mean, there was some wet running, wasn't there, in Le Mans pre-race, but here there's been none of it.
Nothing.
It would be, I mean, you talk about going into a situation completely blind. Well, the ultimate curveball potentially coming here.
A smile on the face of Quartararo, he looks cool, and then the focused eyes of Marc Marquez. He almost looks like the Terminator there.
He wants this one, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he wants to keep
does.
that record going. You just sense that the swagger is coming back. He's just moving around with that air of confidence again now, Marc Marquez.
Here's Lorenzo Savadori. He's lining up 22nd on the 8th row of the grid. Marc Marquez played down his chances yesterday in the TV set to pretty much every TV journalist from around the world. Fabio Quartararo said, "I'm not buying it. I've looked at his rhythm and his pace. He'll be there. I know he wants to keep this undefeated run going, and I want to be there to try and stop it."
I'm not going to pick a fight with Lorenzo Savadori's brolly dolly, that's for sure. Zarco then, the picture of concentration. A French 1-2 on the grid. Well, we've just heard about Taka Nakagami's potentially bold gamble dropping down to the medium front tyre and the slick rear tyre. Let's hear all about it from Nakagami's team boss, Lucio Cecchinello, with Simon.
Yes, Lucio, can you give us an idea what you think both your riders can do today, and also why Taka has dropped down compound-wise tyre choice?
Well, first of all, what's going on today? It's nobody knows, because it will be a very, very close race. Of course, I hope that Taka and Alex will finish in a strong top 10 position. Especially Taka, I think he has more possibility. About the tire choice of Taka, I must say that this morning he tried with a soft used tire, and he was able, after 18 laps, to lap around 21.7, 21.8. So we decided that because the asphalt temperature is below 40 degrees, we decided to take a small risk and to go with a softer compound.
Thank you, and we wish you best of luck with that choice.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks very much to Lucio Cecchinello. Let's see how that one goes. In the battle of the rookies, this man's in it, Luca Marini. Had a pretty good weekend so far, qualified in 14th. Martin, of course, the top rookie in 7th. And Nea Bastianini, after that penalty, will start the Grand Prix from 18th spot. There's the helicopter view of the grid ahead of this 30-lap race, which is getting closer and closer as the BMW will roar away down towards turn 1. 5 minutes until the race starts.
BMW then roars towards turn 1. The sirens going off in the background. It's time for the grid to clear. And we're edging ever closer to a German Grand Prix. Will it be a flag to flag? What drama will come from the elements? Will Taka Nakagami's tyre gamble pay off? Will Johann Zarco finally end his long quest for a MotoGP victory? And what about this man? Can he extend his golden streak? And you can never discount Jack Miller as well.
The 8th round of MotoGP 2021, and your front row for the Liquimoli Grand Prix. Aleix Espargaro starting from 3rd on the Aprilia. Can he get the team from Nuale onto the podium? There would be some celebrations tonight if that's possible, that's for sure. What can Marc Marquez do from the 2nd row of the grid? As Matt said, he looks like he wants it. There's something special in the air about this race. There's more than meets the eye to the Grand Prix of Germany. Fabio Quartararo has been in supreme form. There have been a couple of hiccups so far this year, but he's going for his 4th win of 2021. Will Miller pick up his hat-trick of victories for 2021? Will he win 3? or will the win come from elsewhere? There's Brad Binder. He's got some work to do early on, needs to make a good start on paper, doesn't have the pace to run with the front guys, but it is a Sunday. Aleix Espargaro then third on the grid. It's second for the World Championship leader, Fabio Quartararo, and second in the World Championship behind him is the man on pole, Pramac Ducati's Johann Zarco. We're ready to race here in Germany.
Will it be 11th heaven for Marc Marquez, or will the king of the Saxon Ring be dethroned? We'll find out very shortly. 30 laps of the German Grand Prix. On pole position for the first time in 2021, Frenchman Johann Zarco, joined on the front row by compatriot and world championship leader Fabio Quartararo. Aleix Espargaro, Aprilia's first front row start in over 2 decades. He goes from third. Then it's Miller. Marc Marquez going for that 11th win here in the Saxon Ring. On row 2, with winner last time out in Barcelona, Miguel Oliveira. Martin Espargaro and Nakagami with that soft Michelin rear tyre on the Elsia Honda. He's on row 3. And it's Bagnaia, Rins and Alex Marquez on the 4th row. Binder, Marini, Rossi from row 5. Mir, the world champion, with a lot of work to do from 16th. 17th goes Morbidelli and Maverick Vinales. He goes from 21st place. His worst qualifying performance of his MotoGP career. He can take some big risks as well from the back.
The green flag waves the approach to turn 1. Interestingly, pole position is on the outside here, which you would think perhaps doesn't lend itself to the riders in pole, but who will reign at the ring? Will it rain at the ring? That's the big question at the moment.
Well, normally, that's a foregone conclusion. It's been Marc Marquez. As we mentioned, 10 successive wins for him, 7 in MotoGP. It's been Honda territory as well here in the Saxon Ring. They've won the last 10. The lost non-Honda winner, Valentino Rossi on a Yamaha back in 2009. There was the Live Championship pre-Germany. Fabio Quartararo, 14 points clear of fellow Frenchman Johann Zarco in second place. The top 2 men in the rankings, the top 2 men on the grid. There are your circuit winners over the last 7 visits to the Saxon Ring, and it's been all about one man. It's been the Marc Marquez show around this 3.7 kilometre Saxon Ring circuit. Can he keep that golden run going? Will it be an 8th wonder? Well, we'll wonder whether it will rain, or will he reign here in the Saxon Ring.
There's Pecco Bagnaia. Can he bounce back into action and find the podium here today? He's got to do it from the 10th on the grid. Best grid position in MotoGP era for Aprilia. Can Aleix Espargaro now get his first podium since 2014 on the Forward Racing Yamaha?
Well, this is his 115th attempt since Aragon 2014. Is today the day where Aprilia finally get their first podium in the modern 4-stroke MotoGP era? Predicted race pace around the high 121s. That's based on Miguel Oliveira's brilliant speed and consistency in FP4 yesterday. Locked and loaded, Johann Zarco engages Ducati's brilliant whole shot device.
MotoGP 2021 has been quite the spectacle. What comes next in the 8th chapter? The German Grand Prix is underway, and it's a rocket start there on the outside for Zarco, but Quartararo's coming through. It might well be Aleix Espargaro, and Marquez has got at the inside line as well. He's up to second.
Marquez drops Quartararo, shoulder on the inside, and Marquez into second place. The dream start then from the front row for Aprilia's Aleix Espargaro. Quartararo back in 4th already, Zarco 3rd.
The Aprilia of Aleix Espargaro leads then through turns 3 and turn 4. He's slightly wide though on the approach to turn 5. Excellent start from him. Quartararo pushed back to 4th. The 2 Frenchmen then 3rd and 4th ahead of Miller and Miguel Oliveira in 6th.
Now Marc Marquez surely is going to want to try and get to an Aleix Espargaro quickly here. He loves to be leading in the Saxon Ring. It's a position he's so accustomed to being in. Jack Miller there in 5th place, trying to get away through on Fabio Quartararo. They sweep up through turns 9 and 10. These fast left-handers, and they'll attack the Ralph Waldman curve for the first time. Blind entry, flat out in 4th gear on a MotoGP bike, and it's Aleix Espargaro on the Aprilia that leads down the hill into turn 12 for the first time.
Zarco thought about a move, he wasn't close enough on Marc Marquez. It's as you were. Now will he have a look up the inside? He's not close enough into turn 13 in the background. Brad Binder, oh he is, he's having a lunge, Marc Marquez. In the meantime, Binder, great start from him. He's up to 7th ahead of Martin, but Marquez leads at the end of lap 1 here in Germany.
It's a familiar sight at the Sachsenring. Marc Marquez on the 93 Repsol Honda leading the way. He takes the lead from Aleix Espargaro. Quartararo having a real good joust there with Jack Miller. Quartararo pinches back 4th place in the first corner.
Miguel Oliveira just struggling to get going in the early stages of this. He's 6th, he's got his teammate all over the tail end of him. Petrucci with a rocket start, he's up 7 places to 12th. His teammate Lecuona up to 15th as well.
Disaster for 2 of the Yamahas. Vinales started P21, he's in P21 now. Franco Morbidelli had a shocking first lap. He's last, down in 22nd place, but Marc Marquez drops down through this fast sweeping turn 7 for the second time, and he leads in Germany.
Here's the move into turn 13 from Marc Marquez. He came from a long way back to get that one nailed as well. Excellent stuff. He's got that feeling back. This is the battle for second then. Zarco just behind him. He'll be keen now to get past Aleix Espargaro. No one will want to let Marc Marquez out of their sights. Aleix Espargaro with some excellent drive though. Down the hill. He pulls up alongside Marc Marquez. He's going to have a look. He's through. Brilliant from Aleix.
Nothing wrong with Aprilia's corner speed. Aleix Espargaro's touched upon that all weekend, so he's back in the lead. Marquez is going to try and fight back through at turn 13. He made this move on the previous lap. He's made it again. Twitchy by Aleix Espargaro's Aprilia. He gathers it all back up, but Marquez will lead at the end of the second lap.
Here comes Zarco though. Look at the Ducati power. He's got the inside line now. Can he get through? No. Look at Miller again up the inside of Fabio Quartararo in the battle for 4th.
Maverick Vinales had a nightmare second lap. Was there contact there between Quartararo and Miller as they came out of the first corner? Vinales made a mistake. He did a 125 flat. That's dumped him to the back of the pack.
Mir is up to 12th from 16th on the grid, but still a lot of work for him to do. Alex Rins, his teammate, a bit further up in 8th. Martin 9th. Nakagami at the moment not really doing anything with that soft tyre so far. He's 10th.
So we've seen how good Marquez is, particularly in that final corner already. On the first 2 laps, he's pinched the lead from Aleix Espargaro, and this time, can Aleix Espargaro be close enough to retaliate on Marquez down the hill into turn 12, just like he did last time around? It looks like Marquez has got a bit of a buffer this time, 5 or 6 bike lengths as they climb up towards turn 10.
Looking back from Aleix Espargaro to Johan Zarco, Espargaro was quietly confident that they had the fight for the podium and maybe even the win. Here comes Zarco then, trying to find a way through, but it's that familiar sight out front. It's like rolling back the years here. Marc Marquez leading at the Sachsenring circuit.
And this time he won't have to make an overtake on Espargaro into the final corner, because there was no way through for Aleix on the Aprilia down the hill into turn 12. So lap 3 to be completed. It will be Marc Marquez who sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:22.190, less than a 10th quicker than Espargaro behind him.
Further back there then Fabio Quartararo, not where he wanted to be on the 4th lap of this German Grand Prix. In the background, Ika Lecuona's just gone and made a move on his Tech 3 teammate Petrucci for 13th.
You're right, Steve, about Binder. He was the real hard charger. He is a Sunday man. He got the gloves off very early on. He's right on the rear tyre now of his teammate Miguel Oliveira. Oliveira's made no progress so far. Started P6. He's circulating in 6th place right now.
Jack Miller in 4th, the factory Ducati rider, looking to find a way through on Zarco. We're on board with the Aussie now. This is the area where Miller was suffering throughout the weekend, sector 3. Can he get on terms, though, with Johan Zarco and make a move through turn 12?
Yeah, it was the rear stability here as you're carrying a lot of speed on the left-hand side of the tyre. The wheel spin, Miller just couldn't get that rear tyre hooked up. He was brilliant in sector 1 all weekend. Now Aleix Espargaro threatening another move down the hill on the brakes into turn 12 on Marc Marquez. No, Marquez just that little bit later on the brakes, but again there, it looked like the Aprilia man had the better corner speed and momentum through turn number 11.
Oh, Miguel Oliveira now puts a move on Fabio Quartararo. The Frenchman then dropping down into 6th place. Yamaha not where they want to be across the board.
Yeah, Oliveira's got into his groove now. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:22.029. That was a couple of tenths quicker than the race leader, Marc Marquez. That's why he was able to comfortably ease on through Quartararo.
Miguel Oliveira there then, 22 flat. They're still some way off that all-time lap record set by Marc Marquez. Oh dear, what's happened here? Alex Marquez and Danilo Petrucci have had a coming together at turn 1.
They had contact at the season's opening Grand Prix at turn 2, the second corner of the entire campaign. Petrucci and Alex Marquez. Not the time for Petrucci to be chewing dirt. He needs results to keep his seat in that KTM ride. It just looks like, well, they're both blaming each other, of course, as you'd expect. Completely conflicting opinions. Danilo Petrucci, he's not had the best of luck this weekend. He was badly balked in qualifying by Neo Bastianini yesterday, and he's been tangled with Alex Marquez, the pair of them out.
Oliveira's lining up a move. We just saw further back on Jack Miller. We're on board with him now. Will we see the nose there of Miguel Oliveira? Aleix Espargaro also thinking about another nibble at Marc Marquez out front.
Maverick Vinales is going to be frustrated again. The only men that are quicker than him on circuit right now are the men in the top 10. He's much faster than anybody else ahead of him, but he's down in 22nd place. Left that early mistake, dumped him to last.
Across the line we go, on board with Aleix Espargaro on the approach to turn number 1. Brad Binder thinking about a move on Fabio Quartararo. Alex Rins doing a great job in the early stages of this one in 8th as well. We've got all 6 manufacturers inside the top 8 right now, and they're all very, very close. Martin is holding off Joan Mir. Mir's getting frustrated in 10th place.
Yeah, not the easiest motorcycle to pass anywhere, is it, the Ducati, but where it's so one line around here as well. That will be a tough task for Joan Mir. Simon, you've got some thoughts?
Yeah, guys, looking at the times, they're doing between 1/2 and 3/4 of a second slower than they can on those new tyres, relatively new. They're doing faster than that yesterday with 20 laps on. So I really think Marc's got to the front and trying to manage, to make sure he finishes.
Yeah, thanks for that, Simon. Also, to add to that, some of the guys that have got the better pace are mired behind other bikes. The likes of Quartararo and Oliveira can't really get into that true race pace, although Oliveira is hunting down Jack Miller at the moment.
Salvadori's crashed. That's going to move Morbidelli and Vinales at one spot. He was running in 18th place, Lorenzo Salvadori. He's down at turn 10. That's a fast old tumble for the Aprilia man. Lap 6 completed. Marquez and Aleix Espargaro exchange their own personal best laps in this Grand Prix. The slightly quicker man was Marquez, your race leader.
Binder has got more speed at the moment than Quartararo. Just cannot find a way through on the Monster Energy Yamaha rider. Rins is still there as well. Then Martin and Mir joining them as Pol Espargaro.
Taka Nakagami really didn't capitalise on the extra performance of that soft rear tyre at the start of this race. He missed the start, and unfortunately he's got an awful lot of work to do now to benefit from the medium front soft rear tyre combination. Nakagami down in 12th place. He was only a 10th slower than Marquez them over the line last time around.
Here's the crash from Savadori then, and as Matt says, this is a quick place to be coming off, losing the front end. Luckily, he's absolutely fine. So, back at the front, it's Marc Marquez who leads on lap 7 from the Aprilia of Aleix Espargaro. Under pressure is Johann Zarco. A couple of rear-end twitches on this lap from the Pramac Ducati rider. Has just cut him maybe a 10th or 2 adrift now of Aleix for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in the lap times at all. I mean, Marquez a 1:22.1, likewise Aleix Espargaro, and then Pol Espargaro in 11th, Nakagami in 12th are doing 1:22.2s. They're all running identical pace, the top men. Nothing to split between them whatsoever.
How long before the cream rises to the top, though? Jack Miller, what a lunge that is. If he can get that to stick, it's an excellent effort. He's slightly wide, but that's brilliant. Jack Miller, the Aussie, just seeing the door open there from the Frenchman Johann Zarco, and he's through into 3rd.
We talked about riders having a shocker. Simon Crafar is just reporting from pit lane. There are a few spits of rain. Let's hope they are just a few spits and they're not going to disrupt this German Grand Prix. Pecco Bagnaia is having an absolute nightmare at the moment. The Italian, his championship charge is running out of momentum here. He's in 15th right now, Bagnaia. He's a second behind Rossi.
Psychologically, spits of rain appear a lot more frequently on the helmet of a MotoGP rider than they would do if you were standing still. There'll be a few riders who won't be spooked by it. There might be others that are. That did not go to plan, that start for Zarco initially. Quartararo got away well, but then he just got beaten up. Marquez straight up the inside, sat up Quartararo. He lost momentum there as well. Let's look at it from Miguel Oliveira's perspective.
Quartararo got the initial jump, didn't he? And then Aleix Espargaro got up the inside of it, and then Marquez just spearing and arrowing that Repsol Honda to the tiniest of gaps. He picked up Fabio Quartararo. You knew that move was coming from Marquez. He was always going to be aggressive.
Meanwhile, the riders have just shot past us in the commentary box, and it's like a Moto3 race here as they complete at lap 8. At the front, you can see here Jack Miller now is eyeing up a move on Aleix Espargaro, and he's got a train forming behind him. Zarco, Oliveira and Quartararo keen to make the move. Just further back there, Joan Mir is finally through on Jorge Martin and has moved up into 9th place.
Yeah, he had to work hard for that pass. He had to be patient, didn't he, Mir?
The way this race is going is really good news for Joan Mir. The white flag has been displayed. Now that means that at any point now you can come in to change for wets if you so wish to, because we might have a few spots of rain out there on circuit. This race is playing into the hands of Joan Mir, who found something this morning. He'll be able to see the leader and he'll be thinking, hang on, this actually could turn into quite the day.
I just wondered with those few rain spots falling, Marquez has got the hurry up big time here. Look at the gap he's pulled on Aleix Espargaro. It's almost a second. Out of nowhere, over the line, Marquez was leading by just 1/4 of a second, and in 3 sectors, he's pulled the pin. The Repsol Honda man, he's just decided to go for it now, potentially with rain coming. He's a second clear of Aleix Espargaro. Out of nowhere, he's gapped the pack.
Paul Espargaro is through on Martin. Oliveira is through on Zarco. Oliveira now starting to charge. Jack Miller trying to find a way through. He had to. The white flag with the red cross. Rain falling.
Yeah, you can see
one.
the spots are on the camera lens at the first corner.
Drama. Here goes Oliveira. That's brave. On the curbs, there are spots of rain falling, and he slings it up the inside on the curbs, Miguel Oliveira.
Yeah, I just wonder here whether this is just making Aleix Espargaro a little bit tentative because he's losing ground, he's losing places, hand over fist. The spots of rain just seem to be disturbing the Aprilia man.
Unbelievable. Can you believe this? Can you believe what we're seeing here after a scorching weekend?
Racing incident then between Petrucci and Alex Marquez. So Marc Marquez has got his head down here now. He's 1.5 seconds clear of Jack Miller in sector 2.
Simon.
Guys, this is just nobody more is managing tyres anymore. They're just saying, let's use them up before it rains.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go out. All-out attack, and if you're comfortable with mixed conditions, that's what you need to do. Here comes Miguel Oliveira. He's going to have a look, but he's not quite close enough to get through on Jack Miller.
Marquez aware that if he builds up that advantage, he's perfectly placed to then make the call. He's been so good at judging changing track conditions. Quartararo fires up the inside of Zarco in the final corner. That's going to be for 5th place.
Yeah, Zarco clearly not comfortable with the rain falling in this early stage. On the approach now then into turn 1, he's going to have trouble with Brad Binder right on his tail. Still out front, it's now 1.6 seconds the advantage for Marc Marquez, who's just trying to bolt. Make hay while the sun shines, I think is the quote. He's now 1.78 up through sector 1. Miguel Oliveira looking to find a way through just up ahead there. You could see a couple of spots on that camera lens, couldn't you?
You see, this is the difference between Marquez, Zarco and Quartararo. At the back of these guys' minds is the World Championship. Marquez not worried by that one iota. Oh, Paul Espargaro.
What's happened?
Oh, no, sorry, they were getting Marc Marquez's spare bike ready, weren't they? Yeah, I thought initially there, Paul Espargaro had retired, but no, it's not. They're just readying for Marc Marquez in a flag-to-flag scenario. Marquez does not care one jot about the championship. He's not a contender, so he can throw caution to the wind. He can take the big risk. These two men, they know that a mistake now could be really costly.
Here he comes up the inside.
Nice. Yeah.
He's been lining that one up. The dress rehearsal came the lap before. Mount Miguel is coming again. Second in Italy, first in Catalonia. He's now up to second again. Further back, what's happened to Alex Rins? Has he been spooked a bit? Of course, that wrist, let's not forget, he won't want to take any big risks. He's dropped to 11th.
So,
Mir's up to 8th.
1.8 seconds is Marquez's advantage over Oliveira as we start lap number 12. We're nowhere near halfway at the moment.
There's a lot of things that can potentially happen between now and then. There'll be a few plot twists on board here with Joan Zarco looking at fellow Frenchman Fabio Quartararo. They are 1 and 2 in the World Championship, but they would lose ground to the likes of Miller.
Yeah, the lead about to be stretched to over 2 seconds for the first time here by Marc Marquez. It was 1.9 through sector 1 on this 12th lap. Let's keep tabs on Oliveira and Marquez through sector 2. Actually, Oliveira's just found a smidgen of time back. It's down to 1.8 again.
See, the trouble is, if these guys do just go out there and burn up the tyres thinking it's going to rain and then it doesn't, then they might face even more trouble in the latter stages of this Grand Prix, trying to maintain some coolness in the tyres. But let's see how it all pans out. There's Quartararo then still ahead of Zarco in the battle for 5th, Binder behind them, Mir 8th, Martin 9th, Polispargaro 10th.
And out of nowhere, Marquez's little push from lap 7 or 8 onwards, it's dumped Quartararo and Zarco almost 3 seconds out of contention. Oliveira's just set the fastest lap of the race. He's down to a 1:22.025. That was 700 quicker than Marc Marquez ahead of him.
The fan wall cheering on their riders. And at the moment, any one of about 8 could probably win this one. Here is Miguel Oliveira, then a 22.025. Now, we know from yesterday that Miguel is more than capable of delivering 21s for fun. Is one coming here?
Yeah, the question mark's going to be, has he let Marc Marquez just get away? Mapping 2 for Aleix Espargaro. Is that already going into a tyre preservation mapping just to soften the power? We expect with about 10 laps to go is where the significant drop-off will be with both front and rear tyres. 30 laps, 10 left-handers. That's 300 corners on the left-hand side. That is a real tyre punishing race for Michelin. It's all about who can manage the left grip.
Everyone tactically trying to work out what their plan is of action in this Grand Prix. There's Jorge Martin, he's doing a great job, the rookie 9th at the moment, ahead of Pol. That silver boot from Polispargaro.
It doesn't look like there's going to be any silver lining, though, does it, for him? Maybe for the one part of Repsol Honda. Again, Marquez and Oliveira, they exchanged fastest laps of the race. Predicted race pace pre-race was a 21.9, so we're better than that. Oliveira, 1:21.772. Again, he finds another 10th on Marquez.
They've been playing down their chances this weekend. HRC, Honda, Marc Marquez himself. The nerves will be jangling now. Santi Hernandez, the crew chief of Marc, gets nervous at the best of times. I wonder how he's feeling now. Get the heart rate monitor on him.
Well, Marquez and Oliveira at the moment are the quicker riders by quite some distance. The only 2 men that are in the 1:21s. Miller set his personal best lap on the same lap, but it was a 1:22.063, which was 3 tenths slower than Oliveira, a couple of tenths slower than Marquez.
Keeping a keen eye on proceedings, Pit Byra, KTM Motorsport Director.
There's a bit of product placement there as well from Pit.
Yeah, always. Oliveira at the moment 2nd, Binder in 7th place for the Red Bull KTM factory riders. 1.8 the gap between Marquez and Oliveira in 2nd. It's still Miller in 3rd and Aleix Espargaro 4th, with Quartararo right in behind him and Zarco 6th. Up towards turn 13 to tick off another lap. It will be now 14 laps completed.
Yeah, what's the pace?
16 to go.
Yeah, Marquez again. He responds to Oliveira's fastest lap with his own, a 1:21.772. That was a couple of tenths quicker than the Portuguese man behind him. And again, there's nobody else in the race that can find a 1:21. Miller and Aleix Espargaro and Fabio Quartararo mighty close. They were all doing 22 flats, but it's still Marquez and Oliveira that have got the slightly better pace.
Be a lonely race though, won't it, for Marc Marquez? It would be some story.
Oh, what a story it would be.
But there's a long way to go. We're going to reach halfway point the next time Marc Marquez crosses the line, and the last 10 laps are anyone's guess.
2 seconds for the first time in this race. Marc Marquez has stretched out his advantage to over 2 seconds through sector 1.
He's led before in 2021, of course, in that flag-to-flag race in Le Mans. He won't want to remember that one too fondly, of course, crashing out twice in that. But at the moment, it stays dry here. It's the Saxon ring, and the undisputed king of the ring is on course at the moment to do it again.
Well, the Marc Marquez of old, pre-Jerez 2020, would have found this a Sunday afternoon cruise. But it's not the same Marc Marquez in 2021. He's fighting back to full fitness after that career-threatening injury last July. He's not been in this position before. Oliveira responds again. These two just keep exchanging fastest laps of this Grand Prix, and again they are the only 2 men that can do 1:21s.
There is Miller, Lacia Spargaro, Quartararo, Zarco at the moment in 6th has just dropped away from the tail of Quartararo and is falling into the hands of Binder and Mir.
That's the problem for Miguel Oliveira. Every time he fires in, the quickest lap is a 21.7. Marquez is just a fraction slower, so the gap just doesn't really deviate. It's not been below 1.7 seconds since about lap 8 or 9. Marc's been able to manage that gap quite comfortably at the moment, although of course we've still got to get to the phase of the race where tyre management and the stress on the left-hand side of that tyre really starts to become a key factor.
There's Pol Espargaro, Marc's teammate, just up ahead of Pecco Bagnaia and Alex Rins, who, given the fact that he only broke his arm 2 weeks ago, we weren't expecting any heroics from him. Nakagami's not really done much with that soft rear. Rossi's there in 14th place. Not running bad pace, actually, Rossi. He's up ahead of Lecuona and Bastianini, but of course you would expect to see Rossi a bit further ahead than this. He's into the late 22s at the moment. He was lapping in the late 121s this morning in warm-up.
Yes, a good job Yamaha have got Fabio Quartararo fighting a line 4 at the moment, because he's in 5th place. Rossi's 14th.
Matching lap times at the front again, but the same. 21.8s for Marquez and Oliveira.
Just cannot get that gap down to under 1.7 seconds. There are 2 Yamaha men really struggling. Maverick Vinales 18th, Franco Morbidelli last, right at the back. Maverick Vinales has never finished a MotoGP race outside of the points before in his career. It started with Suzuki in 2015. In fact, he's only ever once finished outside the points. Once in his Grand Prix career. It was right here in the Saxon Ring back in 2012. 17th he was.
Well, there's not just a gap forming here at the front in terms of this 2-second gap between Marc Marquez and Miguel Oliveira, but also Jack Miller now is falling away, cannot maintain the pace to keep up with Miguel Oliveira. However, we remind you, things can change pretty quickly here with the weather conditions.
What we can see clearly, Steve, is Marquez is much the stronger in the first 2 sectors. That's where he's able to take those crucial couple of tenths out of Oliveira, and then Oliveira takes all the time back in sectors 3 and 4. Those fast left-handers, maybe the KTM at the moment, has just got that little bit of better edge grip.
Alberto Puig, round of applause. It's another 21.8 from Marquez, a 21.9 this time from Miguel Oliveira. Quartararo's got through on Lacia Spargaro in the battle for 4th, the number 20 there, the World Championship leader. Here comes Binder up into 6th place ahead of Zarco, but he's really, really wide and he loses it again.
Yeah, there's been some crucial World Championship points potentially surrendered here by Zarco. He's really, really struggling at the moment. Down in that 6th place with Binder and Mir for company.
This was the move for the World Championship leader. He needed to do that. Couldn't afford to get stuck behind the Aprilia for much longer. But is it all too little too late?
You can see Jack Miller struggling ahead of him, Steve. He knows that there's a podium up for grabs here because Miller's dropping into the sort of mid-22s. Quartararo's not much faster, but now he hasn't got a Lacia Spargaro to worry about. He can now start working out a plan to get on par with Miller and then work out a plan to pass him as well and secure what would be a really strong podium for Quartararo.
It's come down to 1.6 in sector 3. Keep your eyes on Miguel Oliveira's lap time here as they come across the line.
Sector 3 is where the KTM is better. It just seems to be managing the rear tyre, the rear grip better through those fast lefts, the 7, 8, 9, 10 approach.
Binder goes through on Zarco in the battle for 6th. Across the line we go, a 21.8. 3 tenths quicker that time, Miguel Oliveira. The gap is down to 1.5.
Yeah, that's impressive. Marc Marquez then back in the 22s. Binder and Zarco having a real good battle here for 6th place. Zarco's got Mir to worry about as well, who's had a lot of work to do coming from 16th. Enormous credit you should give to Mir on a track notoriously hard to overtake on. He's done a lot of work just to get himself into P8 right now.
Yeah, they found something in sector 4 this morning. It's working out well. This gap at the front is going to come down now. I think Miguel Oliveira is starting to get into his groove. It's the first time through sector 1 that the gap's been around 1.6, 1.7. It could be down to about 1.3 by the end of this lap.
The second quickest man on the circuit at the moment, and this has happened for a couple of laps now, is Pecco Bagnaia. But he's really paying dearly for that 10th place on the grid, then a really poor first few laps. He was down in 15th place at one point, but he's doing 22 flats, Bagnaia. He's in 11th place at the moment.
Oh, here comes Quartararo. He could see that Miller was struggling there on the exit of turn 11. Quartararo, the Frenchman, the championship leader then, is onto the podium. He's in third. In the meantime, about to come across the line in a moment is Marc Marquez, and the gap has been cut again. Across the line, the lead has come. It's a 21.9. It's 1.4 seconds between Marquez and Oliveira.
Yeah, Marquez down to a 1:22 flat again. Oliveira was a 10th quicker than him. 11 laps to go, so we're 1 lap away from where it's really all about time management and who's got the best grip for those last 10 laps.
Brad Binder doing a great job here on Sunday. He was nowhere on Friday, couldn't find his way around.
Steve, the quickest man on circuit right now, we keep mentioning him, is Bagnaia. He was down to a 21.849. He did so much work in terms of race pace on Friday and Saturday, particularly in FP2 and FP4. He was running well-worn medium rear tyres. He has got race-winning pace, Bagnaia, but he's paying so much for that heavy traffic in qualifying yesterday. If he'd have been on the front row, ifs, buts, whats and maybes, hindsight a wonderful thing, but Bagnaia would be in this fight.
Unfortunately for him, it's not going to be a podium. The Italian with 11 laps to go. He might still get something on offer though. There's a big group of riders up ahead of him. Our eyes at the moment though fixed on that battle. This is the big group that Bagnaia can still be a part of. There's still lots to play for in here, and out front the gap's going to come down again. It's another couple of tenths being shaved off here by Miguel Oliveira. As we cross the line, there's 10 laps to go, and it's down to 1.3.
Yeah, that's 3, 4, 5 laps in a row now where Oliveira's nibbled time away from Marc Marquez. They're a long, long way clear, those to Quartararo, who's 3.6 seconds further back.
There is Bagnaia. He's stuck behind Jorge Martin at the moment. If he can get past him, he can get involved in this group.
He's got to put a move on Martin super quick. This lap, it has to come this lap if he's got any desires, which of course he has, on trying to reel in Johann Zarco. He can't afford to get stuck behind Martin for any longer, simple as that.
Quartararo trying to get into his mode. He was putting in lots of 121s yesterday in FP4. He had to work hard in the early stages of this race. Just a bit further behind there, Brad Binder now a pest to Aleix Espargaro, trying to get through and take his first top 5 of the season.
Yeah, Miller hanging in there in 4th place, trying to keep the pressure on. Quartararo, he can't relax because there's a freight train gathering behind him, led by Aleix Espargaro. Binder's there as well, Zarco, Mir. Yeah, Bagnaia has found a way through on Martin. That had to come. It had to come at this stage to give himself any kind of chance to find his way back into contention.
Well, in the meantime, out front, Marc Marquez is 9 laps away from winning, but the gap again is another 10th gone. There's going to be some late pressure here from the man who won last time out in Catalonia.
Yeah, we don't normally see Marc Marquez buckle when he's being exerted under serious pressure. We're about to find out how he can handle it here now in Germany. He is on course right now with 9 laps to go for an 11th consecutive victory, an 11th consecutive victory for Honda, who've had a nightmare over the last 18 months or so.
That's not been bad pace, is it, for a man back at the Saxon ring?
Well, our predicted race paceometer was bang on the money, wasn't it? 21.9's what we thought the race pace would be. Very, very close to that indeed. Again, Marquez, he's just able to take a 1/10.5 out of Oliveira in those first 2 sectors. Maybe the front of the Honda, the turning of the Honda in those gnarly first couple of sectors is working better than the KTM, but it's the rear grip of the KTM that works better in the second half of the circuit.
No one close to these two, though. 3.7 seconds further back, Fabio Quartararo and this huge bundle of riders. Bagnaia will be a part of that group shortly.
From sector 1 to sector 3, Steve, Oliveira's taken 3 tenths out of Marquez.
Yeah, exactly, and it's going to be another 10th across the line, and Pooch can't watch. He cannot watch.
Well, they know what's coming.
It's normally the Jaws music the other way round.
Yeah.
If you see +1 Marquez, you start worrying. Today, though, Marquez has got to try and keep his cool, because this Portuguese man with so much confidence flowing through his veins is going, here comes Brad Binder now, up the inside of Aleix Espargaro, having a good ride this, but again, he's just gone in a little bit too hot into turn 1.
Yeah, and once Bagnaia got through on Martin, he was able to immediately drop back straight into the 21s. He's again the fastest man on the circuit, is the Italian. Do you know what? Pecco Bagnaia It's so hard to overtake around this Sachsenring circuit. That may well be where he comes unstuck here, but he has got podium pace unquestionably.
Well, there's a podium on offer in theory to any of these guys right now. Pit Byra might be just secretly hoping he's got two of them on the podium at the same time. Now, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, cracking ride by Binder. He was last at the end of FP1 on Friday, trying to get to grips with this tough, tight Sachsenring circuit on a MotoGP bike. Not an easy task, but he always finds something at 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, doesn't he?
Binder then, is he going to have a look at Aleix Espargaro into turn 13? You bet he is. Up the inside he goes. In the meantime, out front, the gap maintained at 1.1 between Marquez and Oliveira.
And again, it must be now double-figure laps in succession that Oliveira's been just a slightly quicker man. He was in the 129s himself again, now 129.9 from Oliveira. 1.1 seconds time in his pocket as well. 7 laps to go. Pressure building on Marc Marquez.
Aleix Espargaro now coming under threat from Johan Zarco and Joan Mir, as Binder now sets his sights on Jack Miller up ahead. 7 laps to go, but it's a short circuit out front. 1.1 through sector 1. Marc Marquez leads. The sporting story that would be told for some time if he goes on to win this one. What are we watching here? A replay into turn 1. Has he just gone a bit hot? A first mistake in the race from Marc Marquez then, but it hasn't really affected anything in terms of the times. He's still 1.3 up through sector 2, but it's sector 3 and 4 you need to keep an eye on. Alberto Puig, Takeo Yokoyama, they don't know where to look at the moment. It's a second through sector 3, so it's going to be under a second, you'd feel, over the line.
Turbulent times for Marc Marquez and HRC of late. The Japanese superpower in their worst losing streak since they returned to the Premier Class in 1982. Winless since Marquez's triumph in Valencia 2019. The gap just a whisker over a second as they cross the line. And again, Oliveira is just slightly quicker, just under a tenth faster than Marc Marquez as we start lap 25.
Right now, that's not going to be enough. He's going to have to find more than a tenth a lap. Marquez is doing a great job under pressure here, given everything that's gone on over the last year, given everything that's happened this weekend as well. He'll see on his pit board that time is tumbling. He'll know. God, imagine the emotions, but Oliveira, he is such a steam train.
You could see Marquez on the gas through turn 6 and then down the hill through turn 7. That rear tyre underneath him is starting to squirm around. It's starting to spin up. Has he got enough life left? Again there on the throttle, he has another moment. Marquez has really stressed and abused that medium rear tyre. How much life has he got left in it to hold Oliveira at bay?
It's the man of the era versus the man of the moment. Miguel Oliveira comes into this Grand Prix with such form, and it's a second through sector 3. What does it look like on the approach to turn 13? Santi Hernandez there, Marc's race engineer.
Fair to say he's got no fingernails left already. Alberto Puig continuing to egg his man on. It's under a second. It is under a second. 9 tenths then splits Marquez and Oliveira. We're all set here for a grandstand finish, aren't we?
But if Marquez can maintain this, he'll hold on.
Stunning performance this by Pecco Bagnaia. 10 laps ago, the guy was 15th. As soon as he clicked into his rhythm and came through some traffic, he's been supreme. He's now up into 7th place, found a way through on that last lap against Mir and Zarco.
Yeah, great job from Bagnaia. But we've said it so often in MotoGP. Getting into Q2, getting your qualifying sorted on a Sunday is just so important. A big moment there for Marc Twitch. He'll lose time there. Through sector 2 then, he's gone slightly wide as well. Yeah, will that prick the ears up of Miguel Oliveira?
Again through turns 8 and 9, you could see that Repsol Honda swerving, snaking underneath Marc Marquez. He's running out of grip here, big time on that rear.
Here is Quartararo. He would extend his lead going into Assen with this result in 3rd. He'd take that. It's got nothing for the guys out front. Zarco, of course, would lose out. He's 4th. He's got bigger problems at the moment as well. He's dropped to 8th, sorry, in this race. Here comes Marquez then, 4 laps to go across the line, and the gap is 9/10 again. He did well. A good response on that lap from Marc Marquez.
He's riding out of his skin at the moment, Marquez, just to keep that 9/10, 1 second buffer. Oliveira has thrown absolutely everything at him here. He can't do any more, Miguel Oliveira. He's ridden an absolutely fantastic race. Just trying to push Marquez into some kind of mistake.
There are journalists at the moment in the media centre and around the world typing up the biggest comeback story in MotoGP. Just poised and waiting, and there's a man just behind ready to spoil all of that.
Well, there's been some great motorcycling comebacks. You think of Mick Doohan in 1992, his horrible leg injuries in Assen. He came back to win 5 MotoGP world titles. You think recently, of course, of the brilliant Ana Carrasco, a Supersport 300 winner last weekend after such a serious back injury. But this would be a fairy tale for Marc Marquez.
And he's just stretched the advantage. Has Miguel Oliveira used too much tyre in pursuit of Marc Marquez, because the gap's gone over a second again, and there'll only be 3 laps to go when we cross the line next time.
Yeah, we'll keep a very close eye on it. Pit Byra, KTM Motorsport Director. There's Takeo Yokoyama. He's been under severe pressure. Criticism about the current Honda and its lack of results. Yeah, Marquez, 1.2 seconds. Of course, we were thinking about how Marquez was under pressure from Oliveira, but likewise, Marquez's pace was keeping the pressure fully on Miguel Oliveira, and as Marquez broken that resistance, because there was a big gap, significant gap on that last lap between the pair.
It's 1.5, it's done. It's done in terms of that gap. Unless Marc has a moment himself, he's broken Miguel Oliveira. He's just, I think, accepted second. In the meantime, Binder, what a job from him. He's through on Jack Miller. We had KTM second and third. Excellent from the South African. Pecco Bagnaia now challenging Aleix Espargaro, and he might even have something to say about his teammate up ahead as well.
Bagnaia was doing more than race distance on that medium rear tyre. He's got so much knowledge, information. He knows he was going to be quick at this stage of the race. He's just been waiting for everybody else's tyre to drop off a cliff. Pecco Bagnaia, he might just here be letting Binder streak away. Marquez has been absolutely phenomenal, supreme. Looks like he's finally broken Oliveira's resistance. The gap now is up to 1.5 seconds, still through the third sector.
Last July, when we returned to MotoGP action, the biggest crash of Marc Marquez's career. A career ender, some thought. We thought he might be back at the end of last year. It wasn't to be. It's been a sorry story. It's been a sad one. He had an emotional return in Portimao. And now he's on the brink of some comeback story. The comeback king, the king of the ring. He's on for another one. He's undefeated run. May well continue here. He's just got a lap and 3/4 of the Sachsenring circuit left. And he's up to 2 seconds clear now on Miguel Oliveira.
It's over. The only man that can beat Marc Marquez in this Grand Prix now is Marc Marquez himself. And when he's normally in these positions, he gets the job done. This is Binder finding her way up to 4th place ahead of Jack Miller. What a ride it's been for Brad Binder. The podium's just going to elude him. We're not going to see 2 KTMs on the podium in Germany, but he's done an outstanding job to come from the 5th row.
Yes, the Sachsenring circuit might be masking 1 or 2 issues for Honda, but you cannot fault this man. His determination to come back, to compete. He worked so hard in that test in Catalonia. He wanted to be ready for this one. And it looks like now the moment has arrived, because as Marc Marquez climbs over the hill and crosses the line, he's got 1 lap left.
And what must be going through the minds of everybody connected to Marc Marquez? He has been through some of the darkest days you could imagine, worried about whether his career would be finished by that serious fractured right humerus in Jerez last year. Nobody can imagine the mental and physical turmoil that this man has gone through over the last 11 months or so, but nearly 600 days after his last MotoGP success, Marc Marquez stands on the brink of a fairy tale victory here in the Sachsenring.
Alberto Puig looking on. He's had some tough times in the last few months. Marquez is half a lap away from glory once more, from celebrating. He's not been on the podium A few twitches there, and Santi can't believe it. The Repsol Honda guys better get ready on the edge of pit wall. Their man's coming home.
This has been truly remarkable. It's going to be truly emotional as well. There's going to be a few tears down in that Repsol Honda garage, because Marc Marquez, he is going to remain the undisputed king of the Sachsenring. What a comeback, what a return, what a race, what a world champion.
Just one more corner left. The checkered flag is out. He is back, ladies and gentlemen. And still the king of the ring, Marc Marquez wins here in Germany ahead of Miguel Oliveira. What a moment in history. What a sporting story.
It is 11, it is heaven for Marc Marquez. Can you believe it? He's done it now, 11 years on the trot for him, 11 years on the trot now for Honda.
Takeo Yokoyama can't even believe his own eyes. Incredible scenes, incredible. Shout out to the KTM guys as well, they're second and fourth. The Repsol Honda team then celebrate once more. Emotion here, tears from Takeo Yokoyama. You've never seen that before. And Alberto Puig as well. Remarkable.
Honda were in their worst losing streak since returning to MotoGP in 1982. That's all ended. Forget about that. Let's live in the moment, and it's a joyous moment for Marc Marquez. Can you believe it?
You could see it in his eyes on the grid that he wanted this one. Win number 11, undefeated still at the Sachsenring, and quite rightly, he will set off the fireworks here, and there will be fireworks going on in the garage and celebrations going on for some time. Further back, by the way, Quartararo's third to extend his championship lead ahead of Binder. Bagnaia did get Miller on the final lap to finish in fifth. He'll be wondering what might have been. But all of the headlines, and quite rightly, belong to this man, Marc Marquez and Repsol Honda. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Alberto Puig. He's with Simon.
Alberto, he's getting hugs from the whole team.
Yeah.
How do you feel, and what do you think of your lad?
Well, I'm super happy for Marc and for the team and for Honda, and I mean, he deserved this win, and it's a good day. Thank you.
Huge congratulations.
What a day in the life of Marc Marquez, the 28-year-old. He takes his 83rd Grand Prix victory, his 57th in MotoGP, and there would have been times where he wondered whether he would ever get to soak up special moments like this again. As we mentioned, 581 days since his last victory, and he is back.
Matt, I think not just him as a person, his team, the media, the fans at home, everybody that's associated or watches MotoGP will have thought at some point in the last 600 days that maybe we've seen the last dance from Marc Marquez. Well, he's dancing again now.
And you can just see Marc Marquez, he's not a rider, he's not a character that's prone to letting his emotions show in public, but you can totally understand why the tears are flooding now, because that was amazing. Looks like the marshals or somebody there's stuck on a number 11 on the front of that Repsol Honda, yeah, with a track map of the Sachsenring. 11 years in a row he's now won here. Fabio Quartararo, that will feel like a win. That's a really good rescue job. Great for his championship as well, with a third place. When you think that Miller dropped to 6, Zarco bitterly disappointing from the Frenchman, pole to 8th, not what he was expecting at all.
Let's hear from Mike Leitner. What a great day for KTM as well. Miguel Oliveira gave it everything. He's second, and an excellent job from Binder fourth.
Yeah, Mike, tell us what you think of both your riders. What a day.
Yeah, great result for the team, for KTM. It's super. I mean, Miguel did such a good race, and we know Marc on this track is nearly unbeatable, but it was one lap, the lap where this rain comes, and this made the gap, and then was very difficult to close it. I think he used more the tire, they had to use the tire harder, and at the end nothing was left, but Brett did an outstanding race from the grid, you know, from 13th position, and yeah, both riders perfect.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike Leitner. He makes the great point. When the rain started falling, the man and the master of mixed conditions decided that was the time to make the break, and it really was. It was a game of catch me if you can. Here are the celebrations then that the whole of the Repsol Honda team have been waiting for.
Yeah, there's been nobody on planet Earth can imagine what this young man's been through over the last 11 months or so. He would have doubted whether there were moments to be had like this again in his Grand Prix career, but that was brilliant. Miguel Oliveira, I remember Miguel on Friday afternoon saying, hey, Marc Marquez is the clear favourite. And Marc had a little bit of a chuckle about that, but that was a pretty good prediction.
The second ever rider to take 8 consecutive wins in the same circuit in the Premier class, behind the great Giacomo Agostini. Well, you wouldn't put it past Marc making it 9, 10, 11, would you, here in Germany? Fabio Quartararo was not wrong when he said that Marc is playing down his own chances.
And there's not been too many times in the past where he's been pushed that hard for a win in the Sachsenring. These celebrations hopefully will go on long into the night, because it's been celebrations that they've not experienced since Valencia in 2019. Santi Hernandez there, his father Julian there, Emilio Alzamora, 3 men who would have seen the painstaking work behind the scenes, not just physically to get yourself ready body-wise for the stresses and strains of MotoGP, but mentally. They've been there every step of the way, and that's lovely. Great sportsmanship there between Oliveira and Marquez. Likewise, between Marquez and Fabio Quartararo. Oliveira will be able to go to bed tonight and think, well, I did everything. I can be proud of my performance, because I could not have done anything more to try have ended Marc Marquez's reign as the king of the Sachsenring.
And let's not forget Oliveira, his form at the moment is imperious.
Yeah,
second
brilliant.
first, second now for him. 3 podiums on the trot.
Yeah, it's the first time since, I think, mid-2018 in Moto2 that Oliveira's had 3 podiums. Jack Miller, well, he does rescue another top 6 finish. That's his 5th in a row. He would have been hoping for more.
This is the last lap then. This would have been Jack Miller losing out to Pecco Bagnaia. You could see his rear end spinning up. He had no grip left. Had no fight on offer for Bagnaia, who goes through here on the final lap, who had plenty of tyre left, and will be ruining the qualifying situation from yesterday.
Well, it was the qualifying, Steve, but it was also those first couple of laps. He found himself down in 15th place. Aleix Espargaro, down in Parc Ferme, who's the top independent team rider. He'd have been hoping for better than 7th as well. It's been a long, long time, 581 days to be precise, since we saw these kind of scenes down in a MotoGP Parc Ferme. But he's almost got his footprints permanently marked on the podium, hasn't he, in the Sachsenring, Marc Marquez. Well, the fans that gathered all around the world, I'm sure they enjoyed that one. I can see a South African flag there. They'd have enjoyed Brad Binder's brilliant charge through to 4th place. But the headlines, the plaudits, they all will deservedly go to one man. Marc Marquez will certainly hear, though, from Fabio Quartararo. He retains the World Championship lead after a very hard battle. 3rd for Fabio here in Germany. He's with Simon.
Fabio, after an unexpected tough time at the Sachsenring for Yamaha riders, you must be very happy to go away with such great points.
Yes, honestly, this podium is gold. I mean, all the weekend we have been struggling. This morning I was behind the Taka, turn 7, I was losing at least 2/10 every corner, and the race was same. Let's say I was struggling so much, and I feel like this podium is really gold, because I fight until the end. I give it all, and I think that is so important for the team, because we have been struggling all the week, and I don't know the position of other Yamahas, but this one was so tough for us, and now I'm looking forward for us, and one of my favorite track, the bike will go fantastic, so can't wait to be on Friday, because we will enjoy a lot.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. And as we've seen in the past, Matt, when the bad days mean 3rd place, it's pretty good for a championship.
Yeah, it's an old cliche, but what do points make prizes? Aleix Espargaro had the dream start from a rare front row for him and Aprilia. Couldn't quite keep Marc Marquez at bay. The Marquez was strong in that final corner, and then once Marquez hit the front, it was around lap 7 and 8 when the rain spot started to fall, where he just got his head down and was able to break away from the group. Excellent job, though, by Fabio Quartararo. Like he said, gold 16 vital points for the World Championship. When you think that his closest rivals, Zarco, Miller and Yaya Amir, all struggled, Maverick Vinales did, for the first time in his MotoGP career, finish outside the points. This man's golden run, though, goes on. It's 3 podiums in the last 3 races for Miguel Oliveira. He's with Simon in Park Fair, mate.
Miguel, that was another wonderful ride. It seemed like you had the same pace as Marc. You could catch him, but once he had that gap, there was nothing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit, you know, cat and mouse the whole race. He was faster in some sectors, I was faster in the last part. Visually, I felt like I was gaining nothing. So it was a interesting race. I think me and him, we had a pace to battle each other, but finally we battle at a distance. And hey, I'll take a second any day here in Sachsenring to him. And yeah, super happy to continue on these podiums. Right now it's another one, and happy to continue. Thanks to the team, to everyone at home, and we keep pushing.
Congratulations, Miguel.
That's a pretty fair assessment, isn't it, really, from Miguel Oliveira? There's no disgrace in finishing second to Marc Marquez around the Sachsenring, and he really did put some pressure on the former world champion. This was the move he made for second, but unfortunately at that point, through on the inside of Jack Miller at turn 12, Marquez had just made too much of a gap at the front. It's still another brilliant ride, though, for Oliveira. 3 successive podiums for him, and he just continues to gobble up places in the championship, or certainly points. He's now only 1 behind Maverick Vinales, who was 19th. But very shortly, Simon Craybar's going to have the pleasure of talking to, I'm sure, a very emotional Marc Marquez. It's 11 wins in a row here in the Sachsenring, a true fairy tale victory for the Repsol Honda man. He's with Simon in Park Fair, mate.
Marc, how you played that, how you rode it was nothing short of awesome. After everything you've been through, how does it feel to stand on the top step again?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most important and hardest moments of my career, and today I knew that was a great opportunity. It was not easy, the mentality, because I'm coming from a hard situation, 3 zeros in a row, but say today is the day. I mean, before coming this weekend, I say, okay, I will try to fight for the podium. I will try to be close to the top guys. But the victory was a low possibility, but I say if it's the perfect conditions, I will try. And when I saw a few drops on the lap 4 or 5, I say it's my race. And then in that point, I push and I keep the same race pace than before. Even when start the second drops, I push even more. And then I say, okay, it's time to take a risk. I take on the laps. And when I pass that moment, then start the second race. That was with Miguel. He pushed a lot, but then it was hard. It was really hard to keep concentrate because, you know, all the memories, all the situations during this last year was there on the main. But yeah, we did it. We will do again, but we are in a hard situation. But we will try to keep on the same level.
Incredible ride, Marc. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, as you can clearly see there, the emotions pouring out of Marc Marquez as the memories of the last year come flooding back to him. Yeah. What a moment in MotoGP history we have just witnessed here in Germany.
It's like we said, there's nobody on planet Earth that can have any comprehension of just how tough, how difficult it's been, the long rehabilitation, the doubt about whether he would be able to relive these special moments again in his career, and it's the realization that it has happened. All of that hard work, all of your mental resolve, all your physical strength, dragging every ounce of performance out of you, keeping your motivation, keeping your drive to live these super special moments once again.
Great scenes for the Repsol Honda team, who have worked so hard. What a shot that is, as well as in the background you can see head in hands for Marc, who can barely believe that he's just done it under intense pressure in the latter stages. Congratulations there from Miguel, who fully appreciates just how strong he is, and that's a nice moment as well. There's been some rivalry in the last couple of years between Marc and Fabio Quartararo, and there'll be more to come.
Well, all you can say is massive respect to that young man, because that was a brilliant ride, a tough race, a very, very tough race. You know, he's not been in this position really for nearly 2 years. Miguel Oliveira at the moment is riding better than he's ever done in his life, but this man resisted, the shoulder resisted. He'll be sore, he'll be fatigued tomorrow, but he won't care, because he's back on the top step of the podium, and that's what it's all about.
This is great to see as well. Carmelo Espeleta going over to congratulate Marc. This will be a story that will be told for some years to come. Marc Marquez is back.
Yeah, I remember reading a few interviews during last year. Carmelo Espeleta, Dorna CEO, said when he's back he'll be ready, and when he's back he'll be winning. And that's where we're at now with Marc Marquez, as a very emotional German Grand Prix podium is about to get underway here at the Sachsenring. Fabio Quartararo extends his lead in the World Championship. He may well be the man to take over as the king in the MotoGP in the future from Marc Marquez. He wasn't able to dethrone Marquez as the king of the Sachsenring, but that was a really, really hard-fought and well-earned third place for Fabio Quartararo. This man is here to stay at the front of MotoGP races as well. 3 podiums in succession for Miguel Oliveira. But for the 11th consecutive year, the 8th successive year in MotoGP, it's Marc Marquez that comes to the top step of the podium in the Sachsenring. Emotion etched all over the face of his manager and mentor, Emilio Alzamora. Peter Baumann, Liqui Moly marketing director, hands over the race-winning prize, a first since Valencia 2019, to end a horrendous losing streak and barren run for the HRC team. Jan Stovacek, the FIM board member, hands over third place trophy to World Championship leader Fabio Quartararo. His 19th career podium, 15th in the Premier class. Second place will go to Miguel Oliveira, the 26-year-old Portuguese rider. Peter Baumann having the honours as well. Again, 5th career podium for Oliveira in MotoGP, 39th overall in his Grand Prix career. But all hail the king of the ring, 28-year-old Spaniard Marc Marquez. His 83rd Grand Prix win, his 57th in MotoGP, one that many thought would never happen again. Marc Marquez is back. He is the king of the Sachsenring yet again.
What a moment, emotions there, incredible. So, fairy tales really do exist.
Yeah, dreams do come true. As we mentioned, there's been some great returns from serious injuries in the past. Mick Doohan did it in 1992, went on to win 5 world titles. Brilliant to see Ana Carrasco return to winning form as well in Misano last weekend as part of the World SBK schedule, the Supersport 300 series. And great for Marc Marquez's team as well. They'd have all had their doubts about whether he was going to return to recapture the old glory. Yes, this is the Sachsenring. It's a track where he loves, There will be tougher days ahead, but he's going to savour this one.
A news story that will do the rounds around the world, that's for sure, for Marc Marquez, who wins here for Honda. That's 4 different manufacturers now with race wins in 2021 after just 8 races, and of course the 9th is not far away. Marc Marquez, the king of the ring here.